Hello from a remote bit of Douarnenez. I'm just abandoning my boat trailer here for the moment because I'm about to get a new one, and in this rather hangs a tale. The problem is that although it's a perfectly legal trailer in Britain, following Brexit, it's not a legal trailer in France if I tow it behind a French vehicle, as far as I understand the regulations. So the simplest thing to do, rather than try and get that trailer to comply with French regulations, is simply to get another one. So this is the new trailer, which I bought from Cancale in France here. And the crucial thing is that it is an EC plated trailer, and it has incorporated in it lighting and a number plate, and this can be removed, which it has to be to launch the boat, or otherwise it would obviously get wet and indeed get in the way. So this is me trying out the new trailer on a little slipway at the back of Douarnenez. It's not completely sorted yet, but it's getting better. But the real test, of course, is to tow the boat somewhere new and actually try it out properly. This is the Étel. Never been here before. Absolutely no idea what to expect, except it's going to be very shallow, very tidal, lots of little islands. And this is the slipway I'm going to use. It's about half tide. So the idea is I'll sail this afternoon till high water, then the tide will fall again, and about now, but with the tide falling, so about half tide going down, is when I'll try and find somewhere to stop for the night. Well, we launched. That took a bit longer than normal. And I didn't film it because there were people watching, and it's a new trailer, so it's not working sweetly yet. But here we are, afloat finally in the Étel, and wondering where to go. The Rio d'Étel is a little inland sea in Southern Brittany, with a very difficult entrance from the Bay of Biscay. It's very patchily charted, and that's going to make it extremely interesting to explore. And at the moment there's a rising tide, so we can be a bit relaxed about running aground. Very shallow. Those the beds over there. Maybe. all very pretty, but no idea what's going on depth-wise. Sailing in maybe 3 feet of water. In the middle of this oyster bed there are green posts. If it is an oyster bed. There's a red buoy there. You'd have thought the direction of buoys would be going that way. And this is a plate. These do look very green, very convincing. Okay, so we're leaving green buoys to starboard now. It feels a little more comforting. Bloody pretty, I have to say. It is very pretty. The trouble is my chart plotter showed only the basic geography and no soundings once you got beyond the entrance to the Étel, and I was beyond the entrance to the Étel. And I could only see green posts, I couldn't see any red ones, which made finding the channels really difficult. And I was rushing onwards with the wind and the tide into increasingly shallow water with no real idea where I was going. It's just about slack water now, about 4:30, and the high water that it gave, the tide table, was 3 o'clock, so that's to be expected. Actually, a wide estuary like this with a narrow mouth, it takes a while for the tide to come in. So just stopped for a bite to eat and a bit of a break, and then we'll go down and maybe up another creek and look for somewhere to stop for the night. Very shallow. That's why we're not sailing anymore. Well, here we are, and I think it's time for a beer. It's always a bit tentative coming up a channel like this. The idea is I'll leave really early tomorrow morning and row, and hopefully there won't be much wind. That's the idea. And I'll leave at high water, so it's going to be an early start. The boat has got a bit of a list, but that's because I was concentrating on filming rather than jumping up and down on that side of the boat and getting it level. Right, what are we going to cook, you think? Well, I'm afraid it's just going to be a tin stew, French tin stew, and we're going to have a nice salad with it because I'm too tired. Oh! And finally, because I'm northern, cheese and cake. You can, strangely enough, in France, get something called the cake à l'anglaise, which is interesting. Why it's le cake and à l'anglaise, I don't know. It's something clever to do with Frenchness. Unfortunately, we don't have cheddar cheese, so it's going to have to be the Emmental. That. Doesn't work as well as cheddar. Oh, okay, 5:30. So, sorry, actually 5 o'clock. I'm still not awake. So, it all seems like a terrible imposition, but we are going to row back down the river. Otherwise I'll have to stay here till this afternoon. Just so you know, it's nowhere near as light as it looks like on the camera monitor. I have worked out that there are red and green posts. I'm not certain that the green posts are all in the right places, but there are red and green posts. But the red posts have all bleached white in the sun. So what you actually have are green posts and white posts. So that was my problem before. once you actually get in a channel and follow it, it all becomes a bit more clear. So we are in a channel. This creek actually has quite a well-marked channel, as creeks go. So I've decided to stop here, just at the edge of this channel, and I'm going to have more of a breakfast. So in case you're interested, it's 7 AM. I've put the cover up so it dries out really. I don't really need protection from the wind, but there probably will be some wind later on. So it'll be interesting to see how far the tide goes out, because I've not seen this place at low tide, seeing as how I was in bed last night. I have a feeling the tidal range isn't very much, because the narrows keep the water in. But we'll see. I should think quite large areas dry, because the oyster beds tend to. But yeah, it'd be interesting. It's fairly neapy, the tide at the moment, so it's not a big range, or pas un grand coefficient, as they would say here in France. By low tide, lines of oysters in their sacks, perched on their racks, had emerged from the water on both sides of the channel. I rowed further up the channel, following the buoyage, trying to find a way through between the islands to the Ilurs and Cado, which was a place I very much wanted to visit. I eventually ran aground and had to turn round and go back the other way. Sailing in the main channel between the lines of oyster beds, I began to make less and less way against the oncoming tide. This is why I was trying to go round the inside, but there wasn't enough water. I should probably have persevered, as I was hoping for more wind out here. Soon the flood was setting hard against me, and it was a tough row in the main channel. could finally hoist sail and take a breather. Oh, gosh. Until eventually I ran aground again. The Ilurs and Cado is linked to the mainland by a little bridge, which was the site of some complicated dispute with the devil involving a cat. It's all very Breton. But this provides a relatively sheltered harbour in which I could drop anchor just beside a little well on the foreshore. So I've basically spent all morning rowing against the wind. When there was northerly wind, I was rowing north. When there was westerly wind, I was rowing west. When there was a southerly wind, I was rowing south. It's still a southerly wind. Because the bridge linking the Ilurs and Cado to the mainland is too narrow to sail through, I went round the northern side of the island again to get to the Île Nitargué on the far side, which is one of the sights of the Étel. This is the famous house on the Étel. Stars in many photographs, except what you've got to do is to arrive here when the sun's out and at dead high water on a spring tide, when the house basically just sits in the water, just with a little wall round. It's a bit before high water today. But I want to get to the slipway, and anyway, it's not all that sunny. Just taking the boat back now to my mate Didier's house. And I hope you don't think my videos are there to just be records of holiday experiences rather than dealing with the real questions of life. I do work, and I have recently moved my life to a foreign country, which has created all sorts of difficulties and stresses. And I go sailing as a means of escape from all that. And the sort of sailing I do because it is a completely refreshing change. It is simple. I don't use engines. I do row and pole the boat about, and it doesn't cross my mind to do anything else. If you want to have an easily available way to really get away from other people and do something different, I don't think there's anything better than dinghy cruising. So if you've watched this video thus far and you want to take up dinghy cruising, do it. Really do it. It is, I think, the future.